Chris Alberti, and I'm going to kind of tweak my subject a little bit. I'm going to talk about making difficult subjects easier to talk about. So I threw you guys all out a handout that kind of looks complicated when you throw it down, and I find with the variety of people I touch, if I throw them a lot of numbers and a lot of words on a piece of paper, they shut down on me. Like, that's too hard, whatever you just showed me. So when you have this kind of technical data that you want to put out, you got to figure out a way to simplify it, to really make it understandable, to teach it in layman's terms. I was a fill-in instructor for a class called Bidding, Estimating, and the Bottom Line for the Washington State Contractor Training Day. It's not my regular gig, and don't tell people that when you're teaching in class, but I filled it in. The first time I taught it, at the end they clapped, and I mean loud. There was like 60 people in there. And I walked out the door, and the gal from the state that assigned me the class said, "What the hell did you say?" No one ever claps at a bidding and estimating class. I said, well, actually, the name of the class is Bidding, Estimating, and the Bottom Line. And so I focus mostly not on the technicalities of bidding and estimating, which you can't learn in 2 hours, but on the bottom line, which is what everybody cares about. So I'm going to do two things here. I'm just going to show you how to simplify something harder than it looks, and I want you guys to know a trick about, maybe you do, maybe you don't know this about your personal businesses, but I get this question a lot. I don't know if I'm making money. I got so much stuff going on. Well, you say that, but what three things do most people view as their financials?
P&L.
P&L?
Balance.
Balance sheet?
AR?
AR, a little bit about maybe something wrong, but P&L, balance sheet, they're taxes, right?
Yeah.
And most guys will say, I knew what was happening until I looked at those numbers. And then they began not to mean something to me. They got more confusing than it is. And as the economy has gotten worse, lots of people are protecting their businesses by quitting paying themselves.
Right.
It's happening across the country. So they want to turn in good P&L to the banks so they don't pay themselves. And pretty soon things start happening backwards. So if you look at, I'm going to teach you 4 things today about knowing if you're making money. And that is, everybody's got to understand you are overhead. If your company can't pay you, you're not making money. As simple as that concept sounds, lots of companies and small businesses don't get it. The second thing is you need to get all your numbers on one page. That's what this is. It's not an accountant's tool. We call it a business success indicator or a modified balance sheet, but it's basically a cross between a balance sheet and a profit and loss. But what it does is it tells you ultimately if you're making money or not. So it simplifies down, even though it looks kind of complicated here to, hey, what are all the pluses I've got going with my business? What are all my liabilities? That leaves me 10. What are all my personal pluses? What are all my personal liabilities? What is my indicator? And that's how simple it comes down to. If you got all your numbers on one page, your pluses and your minuses, both business and personal, it's going to give you an indicator. If the number goes up on a regular basis, you're making money. If the number goes down, you're losing money. But a balance sheet won't tell you that, and a profit and loss won't tell you that if you're just looking at your business ones and you're not doing your personal. Why? Because when you quit paying yourself, and your business P&L looks better, someone at home, in my case my husband, is running up our credit cards, or a significant other or wife. And so my personal liabilities are going up while my business liabilities are going down. And so the net result may be worse than I imagine. And people really can't make good decisions unless they have good information. But we don't always teach them that. We'll teach them a piece of it here or a piece of it there. So 4 things I wanted you to learn was you are overhead, that all your numbers have to get on one page for it to make sense, both business and personal. You have to use real numbers. It's the 3rd thing that I needed to repeat. And if the number goes up, you're making money. And if the number goes down, you're losing money. And that all fits back into you can really take a very difficult subject and simplify it if you really understand the concepts of what you're talking about. That's my presentation. Oh.
Quick question, how often do you run these numbers?
I run them weekly. If you look at we run it on Friday. If you look at it, it'll make a pattern. If I had more time with the presentation, I'll explain it. But basically, it builds a pattern. And so you watch the pattern. Often people will bill out a job or get paid for something, and it spikes up, and they go and they buy a boat. That's what they do. But if they're really running their personal business indicator, they don't, because they know what that number really means to them, and it's not taken out of context of a one-time sale or that that minute you sell the house, that's a good week for everybody in the family, everybody knows it, but financially, it's not always the best decision, so. That's my presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.